Weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can win big this summer. First, there's a fabulous £15,000 in tax-free cash to ensure this summer is special. What would you spend that on? Next, you'll also receive the latest iPhone 15 and a set of Apple AirPods. And finally, £500 to spend at your favourite UK attraction. You have to hurry as lines close at 5 p.m. on Friday. For another chance to win the iPhone, treats and £15,000 cash, text prize to 63232. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You can also enter online at gbnews.com/win. Entries cost £2 or post your name and number to GB06 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on Friday. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is GB News, and we are Britain's election channel.
This vote may seem to be about the politicians in the media, but it's actually about you.
And we won't ever forget that.
Join us up and down the country as we follow every moment together.
Now, more than ever, it's important to hear
all sides as you make your decision ahead of polling day.
We're here for you.
This is GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's election channel.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Your lunchtime update on the stories that matter across the UK.
From breaking news and insightful analysis, inspiring stories and lively debates. You're comparing yourself to a former Prime Minister.
Which is it?
Stay informed, stay updated, stay entertained.
I just don't know how anyone would not want to be there.
Every weekday from midday.
We are Good Afternoon Britain, only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
GB News is Britain's election channel.
And when the big stories break, we're tackling them on Britain's newsroom. When we disagree, and we disagree a lot, it's even livelier than normal.
We don't disagree that much.
We do.
His comedy, though, is revolting.
I knew her, unlike you. That explains Beverly Turner's temperament.
It's a bit frosty in here, isn't it?
He'll have one of me one day.
Yeah, for dartball practice. Britain's newsroom on GB News. Weekdays, 9:30 a.m.
GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Patrick Christie's. Every weeknight from 9, I bring you 2 hours of unmissable, explosive debate and headline-grabbing interviews. What impact has that had?
We got death threats and the bomb threat and so on.
As time passes,
She could have saved Storm.
You made my argument for me. My guests and I tackle the issues that really matter with a sharp take on every story.
Went everywhere.
something practical could be done.
Or I can become something different.
Patrick Christie's tonight from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, coming up in the Saturday Night Showdown, all the craziest stories of the week, including, is Disney racist against white people? A Disney executive is secretly recorded bragging about not hiring white men. We've got the shocking footage of this Dumbo. Do you get it? Dumbo? And Joe Biden malfunctions again, this time freezing on stage and being led away by Obama. But fact checkers say that it's fake. Well, we've got the actual video, so you can judge for yourself. Man, I trust these fact checkers about as much as I trust a fart after eating a petrol station hot dog. And is the next addition to the pride flag going to be for bestiality? We've got footage of a training session for therapists where they're told not to yuck someone's yum, even when that involves tampering with a Labrador. I wish I was making this up. This is your Saturday Night Showdown. And discussing all tonight's topics with me are my brilliant panel. Joining me tonight are broadcaster, lawyer and futurist Andrew Eborn and the legendary comedian Darius Davies. But first, let's get your latest news headlines from Sophia Wensler.
Hey.
Leo, thank you. Good evening. I'm Sophia Wensler in the GB newsroom. Nigel Farage has been criticised by the Prime Minister and the Labour leader over his comments suggesting the West provoked Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Rishi Sunak says it was completely wrong. The Reform UK leader made the claim during an interview with the BBC's Nick Robinson last night. Mr Farage said the expansion of the EU and NATO gave Putin a reason to tell the Russian people they're coming for us again. The Scottish Greens have urged the next UK government to lift the block on Scotland's controversial gender reforms. The proposed legislation would make it easier for people to legally change their gender, but UK ministers blocked the draft law, saying it would conflict with the Equality Act protections applying across Great Britain. Scotland's First Minister John Swinney said he agreed with the Scottish Green Party.
The Scottish Parliament has legislated for the changes on gender recognition, and I think it's important the democratic wishes of the Scottish Parliament are respected. But clearly there is a legal issue that's got to be addressed, and that can only be addressed by the United Kingdom government. But I want the legislation that's been passed by the Scottish Parliament to be put into effect.
In other news, the search has intensified for British teenager Jay Slater, who went missing in Tenerife. Jay travelled for a music festival on his first holiday without his parents. Specialist dog teams have now joined police and firefighters in the search operation, which has entered its 6th day. The 19-year-old has not been heard from since he called a friend shortly before 9 o'clock Monday morning, saying he was lost and needed water. He was last seen in the northwestern mountain village of Masca. Pro-Palestinian protesters have sprayed red paint on a historic building at the University of Cambridge. Students and members of the Palestine Action Group targeted Senate House this afternoon, a building that's been used for graduation ceremonies since the 18th century. The group says the action marked the end of an academic year where the University of Cambridge has funded, enabled and normalised the ongoing Palestinian genocide. A spokesman for the university said they strongly condemned this act of vandalism. And the Prince of Wales has thanked Taylor Swift for a great concert as he shared a photo of the pop superstar, taking a selfie with him and his children Prince George and Princess Charlotte. Watching the US singer perform at Wembley Stadium, Prince William was also spotted shaking his arms to shake it off as he celebrated his 42nd birthday. Swift posted her selfie with Prince William, George and Charlotte, alongside her boyfriend, NFL star Travis Kelce. And for the latest stories, sign up to GB News Alerts by scanning the QR code on your screen or go to gbnews.com/alerts. Now it's back to Leo and the Saturday Night Showdown.
Welcome to the Saturday Night Showdown. We've got a brilliant panel with me tonight. It's broadcaster, lawyer and futurist Andrew Eborn and the legendary comedian Darius Davies. How are you both doing?
We are incredibly well. I love to be in this. And what I love is this glorious studio. Westminster is so cool for you, you know?
Yeah.
Isn't that
great.
good?
And you were saying you were at the Taylor Swift concert.
I was there. Taylor and me are like that, you know? We love it. It's got to be good. And she was glorious. What I love about the Eras thing, many people come out. She was doing the selfie with Prince William and stuff like that. It was really, really good.
Did you get because you're a man for a selfie.
No, she wanted to take one. I said, not now, I'm going on Leo's show later, is what I said. So it's going to be good.
How you did, Darius?
I'm good. I'm not as enthusiastic as Andrew, but I'm pretty good. I haven't been to a Taylor Swift concert, but I'm here and I'm ready to go.
OK, great. Well, let's kick off. There's an election coming up. You might have heard about it. Yeah. And we've been warned that this is the first election that will be influenced by deepfakes. These are the hyper-realistic, computer-generated fakes of politicians saying things that they didn't say. Everyone expected these deepfakes to be negative things, making a politician look bad. So a fake Rishi putting a cat in a bin, or a fake Keir Starmer revealed as the man who shot Harambe, R.I.P. Harambe. But this week, I saw one that was much more fun than that. Here's a fake Nigel Farage playing Minecraft. Let's take a look.
Hello, chat. So today I had the brilliant idea of joining Rishi's Minecraft server while he was offline, just to have a bit of fun and mess with him. So after exploring the world for a bit, I've actually stumbled upon his house. So naturally, I filled it to the brim with TNT. And for everyone's information, there were absolutely no trace of Sky TV services in or around the house.
So what were people worried about? Deepfakes are hilarious.
I love it. But there's a difference between deepfakes and cheap fakes. Because what happens, and we're going to come on to Joe Biden in a bit, and what they do, they edit certain videos in a particular way to make him look bad.
Right.
And we had that when he came to meet, you remember, good old Rishi Sunak.
Yeah.
And there was a big thing, went all over the internet saying he didn't know who Rishi Sunak was. He pushed him aside and shook hands with the thing. That was what's called a cheap fake as opposed to a deep fake, which is completely artificial. So we'll have a look at that in a minute.
So a cheap fake is just sort of naughty editing.
It's naughty editing, and you work on that sort of base. So we'll come on to the Joe Biden bit in a bit, because I know as part of you, I don't want to steal your thunder, but I have many comments on this, because I've seen the whole video. And
in fact, this video we're going to look at later on about Joe Biden. So he comes on stage, and we'll get to it eventually. But it's been in the press. They've said, oh, this is completely fake. But you can see we've got the unedited video with no cuts, so you can just see what Joe Biden's doing. And it's I think the press, I think these fact checkers need to be fact checked themselves.
These fact checkers make me laugh, because every time you read a fact check, all they do is they confirm what you've seen, but then they gaslight you at the same time. So their fact check will say, false, Joe Biden didn't freeze on stage because freezing constitutes falling under 0 degrees Celsius, and he just paused momentarily, so it's totally fine. He didn't freeze. He just paused.
Yeah, I love it. I have to say, however, as Leo knows, I present this really popular series called Andrew Eborn's got to be there, Fake or Fact, and we do a deep dive into these sort of stories and can expose exactly where it is fake and when it's fact. So we'll have a look at that later.
But you must understand that when something's fake and it fits my narrative, I choose to believe it's true.
Well, I can help you change your narrative. That's my job. So we'll sort that out.
But I don't want to change my narrative. I want stuff that
I don't care. We'll make it work. It's got to be good.
Well, staying with reality, this definitely isn't a deep fake. Now, you might know that Walt Disney had some dodgy views and was considered racist by some. Although, in fairness, it was the old days and that kind of thing was allowed. But the Disney Corporation seemed to have kept this tradition going. According to one of their executives, who was covertly recorded in a honey trap sting this week, Disney is racist against white men. Let's take a look.
Certainly, there have been times where, there's no way we're hiring a white male person.
Just kind of unspoken.
There are times when it's spoken, but...
How would they say it?
There's no way we're hiring a white male person.
Wow, and that's caught on camera in a honey trap sting. So somebody was posing as a date, but secretly recording him. And I mean, we've seen a few of these done by Project Veritas. But there's been a big push for diversity, equity, and inclusion across almost every company. I mean, is this just him trying to hit targets to hire more ethnic minorities by explicitly excluding white men?
I think the real question is, how hot are the people that Project Veritas are sending on these dates? Because every time a Project Veritas person is on a date, the person opposite them just reveals everything that they possibly can. They're like Hunter Biden's laptop. They just everything, just take it. It's all there. But I mean, look, is this really a shock that Disney are not hiring? I mean, look at their TV, look at their programs, look at their films. This shouldn't come as a shock. I guess it's just that it's been explicitly said, but everyone sees this for what it is. They know it's true.
What I love is that the three of us could be the rejects, the white heterosexual males. Yeah. We could be the rejects from Disney.
Well, speak for yourself. I'm homosexual. Oh, good for you. I'm not really. I'm straight now.
There's a job for you.
I am Iranian.
Oh, you're Iranian as well. I love it.
I'm not gay anymore. I'm straight now.
No, we're getting a job. I love it.
He's gender fluid. It's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, that's true. Like, we could be the people who aren't getting hired by Disney.
We could be the rejects.
And this shows that it's not meritocracy. What if the best person for the job is a white man who doesn't get hired?
Yes.
And doesn't this... I mean, some people have said that this is going to lead to a competence crisis.
Yes.
Because if you're not hiring the best people for the job, then the performance of these companies is going to fall. And that might not matter so much with Disney. It just means that their shows will become terrible. But if you've got something like, I don't know, Boeing airplanes or something like that, if you're not hiring the best people for the job, then planes are going to start falling out the sky.
As you know, Leah, I always say, look, I'm all about meritocracy. It's about respect for everybody in the conversation. But actually, it devalues every company if you're hiring people who are substandard just to get to EDI. It doesn't make sense. So what you need to do is hire the best people for the job, irrespective of race, colour, creed, sex, any of that sort of stuff. However you identify, we want the best people for the job. That's got to be right.
The best people for the job, just like Martin Luther King said, don't judge people based on their skin colour.
Exactly.
Judge them based on the content of the character.
Absolutely.
And you went to see The Acolyte, which is
I was there at Disney's premiere. I don't know if you got a picture, but I got into a hairy conversation with one of the Wookiees. It's got to be good. And you can see that. It was a brilliant series. I loved it. And
so they've even got hairy Wookiees now.
They've got hairy Wookiees. It's got to be... I sent them a picture. Maybe in the gallery they've got it. But the reality is this, is that what happens, you want the best person for the job, because that's good for everybody.
Yeah.
What tends to happen, a friend of mine used to run a major company. I have many friends. A friend of mine ran a major company in South Africa. One of the problems they had was this thing about 51% rule. It had to be black. 51% had to be owned by black. What happened as a result is several companies went under because it wasn't as efficient as having the best people.
Yeah.
So actually what happened is that everybody suffered. What you need to do is bring in, train people up, be blind as to race, colour, creed, and make sure that makes sense.
Not being racist, what a novel concept. We've got to talk about The Acolyte, because Amanda Stenberg, the lead actress of Disney's Star Wars series The Acolyte, said in an interview that white people crying was the goal of the series. Let's take a look at this.
Well, I mean, white people crying actually was the goal.
I mean, now they're not hiring white men. Now they're trying to make us cry.
Not only that, they've also said this is the gayest Star Wars ever. So I'm up for it. No, but apparently, contrary to what Andrew's told you, apparently this is the worst ever Star Wars show of all time. It's just gone. It's just awful, and it's been slated by critics and viewers alike.
Well, we've got a clip of it, because Disney seem to be trying to win the woke Olympics with The Acolyte, which also features a character with they, them pronouns, because of course it does. Let's take a look.
What's that? That's Basil. Is he or they with us?
Now, Disney have been contacted for comment, but have yet to reply as to that undercover interview. But I mean, this pronoun stuff. The funny thing is, the pronoun stuff seems to be dying out across.
Well, does it? Because I love the ninja pronoun, which is sort of the ninja pronoun is we/them. Very good. So very good. Nice. There's the chocolate one, which her, she. See what I did there?
Yeah.
So there's that sort of stuff. People actually are embracing it. So I don't mind whatever people want to be called. That's fine.
No, but your pronouns, you can't choose your own pronouns. That's like trying to choose. They're not for you. They're not for you. They're for people to describe you when you're not in the room.
So why does that matter? It's about respect or
And also you've got, if you don't look like your pronouns,
I've got to say, like, you know, people say, what pronoun do I look like?
No, it's she, they. But like when people say, oh, I insist, like you refer to me as she, her. It's like, why don't you put more effort into looking like a woman? Why am I having to do your transition in my head? It's not my transition.
Yeah, I agree. But I actually do think that we are kind of post-woke now. We're on the other side. I think it is kind of dying out, which is why these shows, people have had enough of. They can see it's you know what it is? It's performative.
Yeah,
that's what it is. So everyone can see. Oh, no one buys it. They're not. They look at the thing. They're not buying it. They can see it's just performative to virtue things to look good.
Well, you say that. I have to say, however, Labour's policy, they've made it very clear, because they painted it on the bus, is that everybody should be trans, which is why they put change. That's why they put it on the bus, and they're working on that basis. That's their trans policy.
Yeah.
That's what's going to win them the election.
You think so? OK. Well, coming up, we will assess the week's winners and losers in this week's Cursed or Blessed, and we'll show you what happened next when this skater was in the right place at the right time. Stay tuned and you'll see what happened in just a moment.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Giovanni is axed following growing allegations of threatening and abusive behaviour.
We won't see his little toes dancing around the dance floor again, which is a shame.
Was it the BBC saying, you know, we've had some bad publicity about this star, do we need to maybe let him go? Or was it Giovanni himself saying that, you know, he's had to, with all the bad publicity and what's the allegations against him, he's walked away? We don't exactly know. But what we do know is that Amanda Abingdon, who he was coupled with last year on the last series of Strictly, left claiming that she had nasty behaviour from him in rehearsals when they were training for their routines. And she's also been diagnosed with PTSD, which she is blaming or claiming happened because of the training that she was put under Giovanni. It's very sad because I've met Giovanni on quite a few occasions, and he comes across as a very nice gentleman, actually, and the fans absolutely love him. And even though the allegations are out there against him, everybody I speak to in terms of the fans are on his side.
I mean, from the fans' point of view, they don't see what goes on behind the scenes. All they see is an incredibly gifted dancer who we're seeing footage of now.
It might come out later, but there's all sorts of things coming out because after Amanda came out and claimed all this behaviour against him, a male celebrity last week also came out and voiced their opinion. Yeah, a lot of fans will be gutted, but as you say, we don't know the full story yet as what's gone on.
And it's incredible pressure that no one's allowed to be, a duffer right from the start now.
I mean, it's one thing learning lines if you're an actor, but it's a different kettle of fish altogether if you're learning moves that you've never done before. So you've got...
The People's Channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
GB News brings you accurate reporting of the day's topical agenda.
When the news breaks, wherever and whenever it's happening,
we'll be there.
This is GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Sunday nights on GB News. From 6, Neil Oliver. At 7, it's Free Speech Nation with Andrew Doyle. At 9, Mark Dolan. And at 11, get set for the week ahead with headliners. Tomorrow's papers tonight. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
On Mark Dolan tonight in a Mark Meets special, one of the most famous public intellectuals in the world, author of The God Delusion and The Selfish Gene, Richard Dawkins. And developing tonight, Nigel Farage's comments about Ukraine have made headlines around the world, with angry condemnation from Zelensky, Sunak and Starmer. Is this Farage's first election misstep? We're live at 9.
Welcome back to the Saturday Night Showdown. Kirsten Blessed is coming up, but first I promised I would show you what happened at that skate park. I found that oddly satisfying. I'm not going to lie.
The skateboard out.
Yeah. So that's. I mean, I've always wanted to see that happen for some reason. I don't know why, but it's now time to go through the winners and losers of the week. Joe Biden has had another malfunction this week. He froze on stage at a fundraiser and had to be led away by former President Obama. Let's take a look at this. And that was him freezing. For some reason, it cut before Obama led him away. I don't know why that was. But, I mean, there's nothing too remarkable. Every couple of days, Biden wanders off, freezes, or looks like he's soiled himself. I don't know if we can pull the full clip up. But it's just what happens when you're 112 and you're pumped full of adrenochrome and monkey glands. What's interesting this time is how it's reported in the press. Have we got the full clip now? So here we go. Oh no, we're cutting before.
This is making it look like a so-called cheat fake.
This is like
looks like you're editing it in real time.
The whole point is you see Obama leading him away.
Yes.
But never mind. It was fact-checked by the Associated Press, who said that Biden paused amid cheers as he exited the stage. Yes, according to fact-checkers, Biden was just standing to soak up the applause before jumping off the stage with a triple pike somersault and landing on one hand. I don't know why they lie to us like this. I mean, I wish I could show you the full
It sounds to me like you're lying to us.
Now it looks like I'm lying. But the full clip, I should maybe pull it up on my laptop right now. But basically, basically what he does, he stands there for an awkward length of time. Then, you know, they're going to walk off stage. He's still standing there. He's obviously just zoned out. You know, all the, I don't know what sort of methamphetamines he's pumped full of run out. And Obama has to guide him away by the hand and also with a hand on the back.
Shall I tell you what happened? Because I saw the whole video clip.
You were his body double.
I was his body double, as you know, pull-up thing. Andrew Eborn's Fake or Fact. So what we had to do is go back to the original source, and we looked at the whole video, not just the 7 seconds. So during the interview, he was very lucid. We had that sort of conversation. At the end of it, he stood up. He was waving. He was acknowledging the people in the crowd. And like that dramatic Michael Jackson moment, as you do, he leaps up on stage and stands very still for people to take their selfies. And this is what they did. They were all taking their photos for that 7 seconds. All that the media did was focus on the 7 seconds, not the bit where he was greeting the crowd and everything else. And then the bit that you missed, which would have been a News of the World headline, is that Obama pulled him off. And you missed that bit.
Yeah, but why did Obama have to? If Joe Biden was so alert and so conscious, why did Obama have to guide him? Not just tap him on the shoulder and, you know, walk off with him, like literally hand on the back, hand on his hand, and like walk him away as if he was drunk and leaving Tiger.
It wasn't, as was reported in the media, he wasn't dragged off. This is my point. He was. If you look at the whole clip,
an AP fact checker.
He was
walked off, not dragged off.
He wasn't dragged off, and he wasn't pulled off either. And you work on that sort of basis. So he was there. If you look at the whole clip, throughout the whole thing, he was very lucid. He did that whole thing where he was greeting the crowd, he was waving at the crowd and everything else. And the dramatic moment that anybody on stage will know, you brilliant comedians will know, you stand. Stillness is so powerful. 7 seconds feels like a long time, but that was the moment that he did that.
So he was just trying to bring some charisma by standing still and not responding to.
That's what he had.
I see, but there's obviously some cognitive decline in Biden.
Well,
do you think they're going to replace him?
I think he's freezing, and it reminds me of that Mitch McConnell one. I'd like you to try and just talk that one out, where Mitch McConnell just freezes for 10 seconds. I think he's frozen. I've seen the full clip. I think he's in cognitive decline. I read somewhere that if he fails the first debate against Trump, they're going to try and replace him. That's what I read.
So that debate's coming up, I think it's next week. And apparently he's been coached. I literally read today that he's been coached on how to stand up and sit down. I mean, it's good that they're starting with the basics.
They have to do that. Sorry, every politician needs to turn around, a bit of media training. The person who's the master manipulator for the media is Trump. He knows how to do it. The more you throw him into jail, the more his popularity increases.
Absolutely.
And it's extraordinary.
But Biden's also been filmed recently hovering in midair like a woman using the toilet in a nightclub. And I mean, I'm not saying he was actually. Some people were speculating
women do you know
soiled
usually?
himself. No, but they don't want to sit in the seat.
Oh, I see. Okay,
they don't want to sit in the seat, so they hover.
Yes.
So we've got a float of Biden here. This is him in Paris. This is him doing his strange hover.
Yes.
And people have, again, the fact checkers have said, no, he was just, this is perfectly natural. Of course it is. Everybody else is standing. He's hovering as if he's soiled himself. This is normal.
That looks like what my 3-year-old daughter does when she also hovers and goes silent and leaves us with a little present.
Well, talking of leaders who are in decline, Russia's leader, Vladimir Putin, flew to North Korea to strike a deal with Kim Jong-un this week. Let's take a look. There he is. The two leaders signed comprehensive partnership agreements agreeing to provide mutual assistance in the event of aggression against either country. So North Korea is likely to send Russia more artillery shells. The problem for Russia is that North Korean munitions are old and unreliable, and Russia is likely to send assistance and weapons technology to North Korea, which is locked in a frozen conflict with South Korea. So in return, South Korea has pledged to send weaponry to Ukraine to help them fight Russia. So it doesn't make sense to make an enemy of South Korea. There's also this beautiful moment where Vladimir Putin waved at the window like a kid going on the school bus. And Kim Jong-un is there waving back. Really touching moment
I was in
there.
tears. I loved it. It's very good.
Well, yeah, Putin and Kim like to put on a show of being big, tough leaders, but look how they wave to each other.
Yeah, cool guys, lads on tour, so what?
It was a touching moment. The bit you haven't shown, which I thought we might show, was the bit when the marching passed and you see all these soldiers who are brilliant, marching in step, and they've got they're doing the high kicks. And Putin is there with the North Korean leader, and they're static for 7 seconds in the same way as Biden was. And you can work on that sort of basis, and they look like big pals.
Did anyone need to be led away by the hand?
Yes, absolutely. And Biden came in and showed them the way. Biden came in and pulled them off. That was the other movie. So you should see that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, and you'd want to get to the buffet before Kim Jong-un did.
Hey.
But this means North Korea could have better weapons than its current weapons. But it's been sending poo balloons.
Anyway.
No, I don't think it's got nukes. It's got a whole bunch of conventional weapons.
It's got loads of stuff, which they parade all the time.
They've been sending poo balloons to South Korea.
They have? Oh, that's hilarious. I remember that.
They've been getting helium balloons and putting bags of
I know,
poo
I saw that.
and then sending them over.
Yes, that's from Putin to Putin's. That's what they did. They had these balloons, and they would drop all this excrement on the South Koreans.
Yeah.
It was horrendous. Work on that sort of basis.
It's nasty stuff. And mentioning, I know Farage was mentioned in the news. He's been reported as saying that the West provoked Putin, and he had to invade Ukraine. I think this has been a sort of misrepresentation of what Farage said. He was taking a more nuanced look at the conflict.
Nigel is brilliant, and Nigel predicted this 10 years ago, and he wasn't saying he's pro-Putin or whatever. He's telling about he hates war. Yeah. We all hate war. We're pro-peace.
I like war.
Oh, no, apart from you. I'm pro-peace. We work on that sort of basis. What happened is he was simply saying, if you do this, it's likely to lead to war. It was so misrepresented in the mainstream media. It was totally unfair on Nigel. I think that's what he was saying. He predicted this 10 years ago. You start doing this, it's going to lead to war. That's what he was saying. All of a sudden, they started doing this, it led to war.
Although it's interesting that when Putin was interviewed by Tucker Carlson, he didn't say that he was provoked by NATO. He said, he's basically got this idea of a historical greater Russia, and he wants to, reconquer these lands, rebuild the empire.
Yeah, exactly. Talk to my man Nigel is what he said. So you work on that sort of basis. But Nigel was right, and I think what happens in the mainstream media is that there seems to be they're a bit scared of Nigel because there's been the rise of the right, and he's such a charismatic character.
Yeah,
we're in
I've seen a lot of. I mean, obviously, people do this with any politician. I've seen a lot of digging through anything that he said. That was said. I think it was quite a while ago.
But he stands by it now.
Digging through and trying to find something and misrepresent.
Well, that's the thing. But the thing is, every time they misrepresent what someone like Trump or Farage say, all it does is convince people that who were going to vote for him anyway, that they're even more right and they're being, misconstrued by the media deliberately, and it just solidifies people's opinion on them. And I think, he said 10 years ago, NATO expansionism is going to lead to Russia invading Ukraine, and that's all he stood by it. But people are saying, oh, look, they're trying to misrepresent him, and I think, people are looking at it thinking, this just makes me like Farage more. That's what they do. Every time they try and make him look bad, it's like when you try to deliberately go out of your way to make someone look bad, people start thinking, why are you doing this? Let his own words, let him make himself look bad. He doesn't need your help. As soon as they start, people are like, why are you deliberately pushing me this way?
Yeah, as soon as people feel duped. And also Kim Jong-un looks a bit like a fat Mark Lamar. Anyway, Nigel Farage has also been castigated in the press this week for apparently praising Andrew Tate. But did he? Let's take a look.
I think Andrew Tate is a fascinating figure. I think he speaking to men who, because of the woke agenda, are told they can't be male in any way at all was an important thing, but I feel some of his comments were pretty horrible.
Now, Farage has said that Andrew Tate is an important voice for the emasculated men and is giving boys a bit of confidence at school in online interviews. But this isn't really praise, and in fact, he criticised Andrew Tate's comments.
His final word was exactly that, wasn't it?
Exactly.
So don't misrepresent him. In the same way...
Just like Darius was saying.
Exactly. Good old Darius, well done. So what I love about that is that people are lost at the moment. What we need are inspirational characters. We need inspiration for good. So at the moment, Andrew Tate is an inspiration for bad. It's a misogynistic and all that sort of stuff. Well, he is. Some of the stuff he says is abhorrent.
I mean, I think
it's about how you treat women and so on. That is abhorrent.
Isn't it? It's trolling. It's really sort of...
Isn't that abhorrent? Isn't trolling abhorrent?
Look at he's really cool.
Darius is a young...
He's really cool, he's rich, he's muscly, he's got loads of women. What do you want? It's perfect.
But that's what happens. The young at the moment, and this is what about the TikTok. This is why TikTok is dictating this is why so many politicians are now on it. They're working on that sort of basis. How do you appeal to the youth? You need somebody who can show the way. You need inspirational characters. So Andrew Tate, he's got lots of money, he's doing this, he's brash and everything else. He's giving people hope.
Yeah.
What we need is an inspirational character who is an inspirational character for good.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
Doesn't society need to? Because all society does is tell men they're terrible. They're toxic masculinity.
Absolutely.
Whereas Andrew Tate says, actually, you know what? You're good guys.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I believe in you, and you know, you should work out, and you should, you know, make money and get a Ferrari.
Yes.
Which doesn't seem that poisonous.
Well, I've done all of that, but I didn't follow his advice.
You're a toxic masculinity. Anyway, next on the Saturday Night Showdown, we've got a Culture Corner special. Plus, I'll show you what happened when the skydivers took this big jump.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. The weather is turning warmer and sunnier during the next few days. There will be some cloudier spells for the next 24 hours or so before high pressure takes a firm hold across the UK and leads to a long settled spell. Now, this weak weather front is just edging into the west of Scotland through the evening, as well as parts of Northern Ireland, some thicker cloud for a time, some patchy light rain and drizzle. That'll tend to sink into northern and western England as well as Wales. Extensive low cloud is expected here, some mist around the hills and coast and some drizzle first thing Sunday. Otherwise, increasingly sunny skies for Scotland, Northern Ireland and for parts of East Anglia as well as the southeast. It's going to feel fresh first thing, but temperatures will rise quickly through the morning because of the sunnier skies. However, we've got that mist around the coast of the southwest as well as parts of Wales, some drizzle over the hills, and that'll take some time to clear up during the morning. Northern England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, increasingly sunny through the day, and with that sunshine we're going to see some higher temperatures compared with much of June so far. But as I say, the mist and low cloud that will be lurking around southwestern shores could take some time to clear, and somewhere like Torbay could keep that fog around the coast through the day. Come inland and skies will brighten nicely by the afternoon, and with sunny spells developing widely, temperatures will reach 25 Celsius in the southeast, 20 to 22 Celsius generally elsewhere. Monday morning starts off with a lot of cloud across western Scotland and Northern Ireland, some patchy rain and drizzle. Elsewhere, another day of warm, sunny spells and increasing temperatures. We're looking at highs on Monday into the high 20s, and by Tuesday and Wednesday, the possibility of 30 degrees.
This is GB News and we are Britain's election channel.
This vote may seem to be about the politicians in the media, but actually it's about you.
And we won't forget that.
Join us up and down the country as we follow every moment together.
More than ever, it's important to hear
all sides
as you make your decision ahead of polling day.
We're here for you.
This is GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's election channel.
Are the newspapers getting you down?
My wife didn't divorce me that month.
Struggling to separate the wheat from the chaff?
I know that it's a bit of a circus at the best of times.
Well, don't worry, Headliners has got you covered. We'll take the burden of reading the day's news, and if we get depressed, who cares? It's an occupational hazard, frankly. That's Headliners on GB News from 11 p.m. till midnight, and the following morning, 5 till 6 a.m. on GB News, the comedy channel. Nah, just kidding. Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday Night Showdown. Culture Corner is coming up, but first I promised I would show you what happened when these skydivers jumped out of a plane. What could go wrong? Oh my God! So have you done skydiving?
All the time, every Thursday. And what you have to do it like a banana. So my good friend Keith, the producer, he said that's what you have to do.
Bend like a banana.
Bend like a banana. I think that's nothing to do with skydiving. That's just the way he likes it on a Saturday night. But the reality is exactly that. No, I'm petrified of heights.
Well, that doesn't make me less petrified of skydiving. That was another plane that was obviously in the air with skydivers, and they flew into.
No good, and it's so scary. And what I love about this section, it always happens. I tell you, every time I go on Leo's show, he does this section which is always should be sponsored by personal injury lawyers. Because they would say, contact us now if you've been affected by the similar sort of thing.
If you've been decapitated in a skydiving,
if you've been decapitated, don't lose your head. Contact us. Absolutely, we could do that. That was scary.
Yeah, it was scary.
Not for me.
Not for Darius.
They could just walk out and stand on the other plane and jump off the other plane.
Would you do that?
This is a man who's seen James Bond.
Yeah, exactly.
It's possible.
It's like a James Bond thing. Just stand on the other plane and jump off that one.
Yeah.
Where would you go? You'd do like a hop.
The plane was right there. You could just walk out.
You could get a whole fleet, and you could step down each one.
Yeah, like go ladder.
Forget your parachute. I love it. That'd be good.
Great.
Anyway, now with polls suggesting that Trump has the edge in the upcoming US election, you'd think the Democrats might try to appeal to Trump supporters, or at least tone down some of their hyper-progressive trans stuff. After all, last year, the Democrats were pilloried after a trans activist got naked on the White House lawn.
Hey.
Well, Vice President Kamala Harris has instead turned up the cringe after welcoming cast members of the show Queer Eye to the White House. Jonathan Van Ness went viral this week as he visited Kamala in a dress and hosted a mock press briefing at the White House podium. Let's have a look at this.
Talk on it.
Welcome today, everyone, to the White House. I'd like to briefly answer some questions. Go ahead, I'm ready.
JVN.
Oh, yes.
Is it true that is all your natural hair?
Yes, I can confirm that this is not a wig.
Wow, the Bee Gees are looking rough. That looks like a dress you put down to paint the ceiling.
That looks like what I usually wear normally. That's what I usually dress in. I don't know why they do this. It's obviously just going to cause problems for the other side. Like they've already got. Like, the people who are going to vote for Biden are already going to vote for them. Yeah. So bringing out the Queer Eye for the straight guy, bringing them to the White House, it's not going to make them vote for them twice. All it's going to do is alienate, like you said, the Trump and Trump supporters and traditionalists who think, the White House should have some sort of decorum and, be more conservative. Personally, I don't really mind. I quite like Queer Eye for the straight guy. I think they're quite good. But, I mean, there's a time and a place. I'm not sure the Oval Office is where they should be, but...
yeah, like Darius says, there's some floating voters, undecided voters out there, and they're not going to be won over by this kind of thing.
You say that.
I just said it.
Thank you. I had the joy of being invited to Diane von Furstenberg. Do you know who she was?
I've heard that name.
She did a wrap-round dress, which is a massive thing, and she was telling me...
Yeah, but she's a woman.
No, I'll tell you what happened. She was telling me that she was invited to sleep with both David Bowie and Mick Jagger in a threesome.
Right.
And she,
which one and which end?
I know, exactly. And she basically turned that down. The whole idea is embracing everybody. Be who you want to be. So I totally get that. Getting somebody in the White House, that's fine. It was rather like Conchita von worse, wasn't it? You work on that sort of basis. So that when you have a beard and you have the dress as well, it's a bit bizarre and that sort of thing.
Like
but
Darius.
I don't... Like Darius, so just wearing nothing underneath. You work on that sort of principle. I don't have a problem with that. It's all about respect. What you have to do is say, are you going to alienate some of the electorate as a result of it? Or are you going to turn around and say, actually, some people turn around and say, look, be who you want to be because everybody else is taken.
Yeah, be who you want to be. Be who you want to be, but do you have to be it in the White House?
Well, yes, why not?
No, but I mean, the White House is supposed to, it's the seat of power. It's supposed to be treated with respect and with dignity.
So why can't you turn around and embrace everybody?
No, but you can embrace everybody, but so would you have, I don't know, would you have Timmy Mallet?
Yes, I would. Twice on a Thursday I've had Timmy Mallet. Timmy.
Was that another one of those threesome stories?
He's brilliant. So what I love, and what parties do say, is that it's about respect. What I don't like, which is where I'm with you, is when you ram it down somebody else's throat. You don't have to turn and say, you have to do this.
That's different from the story you told us a moment ago.
What it is about respect. So respect to everybody in the conversation. It's fine. You're embracing that. So
why aren't they inviting, some conservative people? Why aren't they inviting some, evangelical Christians
or
something like that?
I don't know if they haven't.
We never see that represented.
Why are they not inviting the Westboro Baptist Church?
Exactly.
That's what we want to see in the White House.
Exactly, and they've got some dodgy precedent of this kind of thing. So last year they had a trans activist who was invited to one of these events at the White House, who then flashed breasts on the White House lawn, and has since, I think you said, been.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not I agree with you. Be who you want to be. Do all that. But I'm just saying, what's the point? It's not going to get you new votes. It's just going to alienate the people. Keep it traditionalist.
What you have to do is what they call in politics the optics. So the optics have to be control the message. And what you say is that we welcome everybody. It's about respect, but respect everybody in the conversation. So don't thrust your own views down somebody else's throat or anything else down everybody else's throat.
What I'm saying is I think people are feeling that their views are being thrust down their throat.
So that's about how you manage the message, and that's why you have to consult the Sultans of Spin, who will turn around and say, this is how you deal with it.
The Sultans of Spin are all college-educated leftist progressives who will say that this is brilliant and white straight male should be banned. Anyway, arts festival sponsors have been under attack recently. Bailey Gifford, the financial company who sponsored the Hay Book Festival, were targeted by Fossil-Free Books, an activist group, because of investments linked to fossil fuels and to Israel, apparently. Similarly, Barclaycard, who sponsor festivals including Latitude, have been targeted by acts pulling out of festivals. Alistair Campbell's comedian daughter, Grace Campbell, pulled out of Latitude Festival, apparently because the sponsor, Barclaycard, profits from Israel's genocide in Gaza. Wait until she finds out what her dad did. I guess she'll be boycotting Christmas dinner with him as well. All this pressure is working. Bailey Gifford have now ended their sponsorship of book festivals, and Barclays has stopped its sponsorship of Download, Latitude and the Isle of Wight festivals. However, festivals are now complaining of a lack of funding. Wigtown Book Festival in Scotland says it now has a £100,000 black hole in its budget. That's a lot of books. And the justification for the attacks by activists seem pretty flimsy. Bailey Gifford, who are targeted by fossil-free books, only have around 2% of their clients' funds invested in fossil fuels, which is much less than the industry average. And Bailey Gifford have far more money invested in companies driving the transition to clean energy. So they're one of the good guys. And as if it's going to have an impact, as if Benjamin Netanyahu is going to call an emergency session in Parliament and say, guys, Grace Campbell has pulled out of a Ponzi Arts Festival. Tell all the troops to come home. Fossil-Free Books have admitted that they were surprised that their campaign was so successful. A representative told the Financial Times, "We were pretty shocked when Hay said it was dropping Bailey Gifford. Our campaign was meant to be the start of a negotiation." Well, you judged that one wrong, didn't you? Activists say they want more public money to be invested in the arts, but why should bus drivers pay tax to subsidise a middle-class book festival they might not want to go to? And the government is pretty involved in fossil fuels and warfare. They literally have an army and power stations. So that's not exactly fossil-free funding, is it?
It's absolute nonsense, isn't it? You should take money. If you look at... History is ugly. Let me have a look at that. Every country, if you go back far enough in history, it's ugly. So you turn around and say, the whole idea about sponsorship, it's for a particular purpose. People need money. If you dig too deep into where the money comes from, it's not going to get that money.
Dodgy
all money's dodgy.
Eventually, and also this, when all the acts are pulling out of Latitude, they're all saying, I can't, in my heart, I can't do this because of the terrible war going on or the treatment of Palestinians or whatever. I bet the other acts, because I've been on charity gigs where other comedians have said, when the organisers come around to pay everybody, the other comedians have said, no, give it to the charity. And I've been sitting there being like, I want this money. do I have to do that now? Am I being peer pressured and not accepting this 150 quid?
I mean, to be honest, I'm pro-Palestinian, so I support them pulling out of the Latitude Festival. I think this is a way that they can have some sort of pressure and, make their voices heard against, by doing, by boycotting. By making a boycott, they can make a point, and this is how you can do a peaceful protest. So I think it's a good thing. The fact is, though, comedians are hypocrites because someone who's pulling out of this festival has a show which is like completely sponsored by Barclaycard. So, and also, if you want to make the actual point, which I think what you want to make is like, it's easy to pull out of Latitude because it's just a one-off payment, right? And it's not a big payment. We know how much they get paid to do Latitude. So pulling out of that I'm with them, but it is performative. Pulling out of your show that you've got a series for, which is sponsored by a radio station, sponsored by Barclaycard, then I will give you my respect fully, because then I think, okay, you're putting up a big sacrifice. This is a one gig on one day, so it's an easy thing for them to do, right? But I mean, I agree with the thing, but I know a lot of them, some of them are not putting they've got sponsorships other areas, which they're like,
they're just quietly keeping.
Keep that one on the down low.
I think Bailey Gifford and Barclaycard should just sponsor right-wing stuff. Sponsor me. Sponsor me. And, I'll never never pull out.
Listen, let me just say,
that's another show.
Listen, when it comes to Barclays, if you wanna boycott Barclays, don't do that. Do what I do, yeah? Go into your overdraft, never pay them back. That's how you win.
Anyway, next on the Saturday Night Showdown, we've got the wonderfully weird clown world. Plus, I'll show you what happens when this man tried to make an inspiring DIY video. Stay tuned.
Here we go today. I set about starting on the transformation of our pathway and steps to our front entrance. It's been a lot of time and effort, but I think you'll be surprised by the results.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
The University of Cambridge has told students to stop flirting with staff under a new policy banning sexual relationships with professors. The new rules, which come into force next month, beginning of July, include a warning against behaviour that could be interpreted as flirtatious. University staff have been told they must report any behaviour that could constitute a student making advances towards a personal, particularly intimate relationship with them. If you're a tutor, how do you interpret what is flirting and what is just sort of like having a bit of banter?
In fact, you've got some
very nice trousers, by the way.
Thank you.
You see, you didn't even recognise.
Oh, I didn't. I think I'm blushing now. I'm blushing.
So, what's flirting? What's me complimenting your very well-fitting trousers? Yes.
Well, there is a line, because obviously when you're 18 and you go to university, it might be the first time you're away from home. It might be the first time that you're open to maybe a bit of a nightlife, social activity, drinking and all the rest of it. On the flip side, I know a couple who, this pupil ended up dating their professor, and they've been together for about sort of 15 years now. So I used to go after lectures with my professor and the whole seminar. We used to go to the pub afterwards, and I became very good friends with, she was a mature student. She was on the very, very far left of political. You wondered where that was going for a second, didn't you?
We're both breathing a huge sigh of relief.
Very quick for you, Joe. We're running out of very nice trousers as well. We're running out of time.
Not as snug as Charlie. I think you've got to have some rules in place that there's no abuse of power. Policing it's difficult. We ought to be in a position where you can say, get off, back off, or, banter's fine. Actually, I hate that word. I hate it almost as much as woke. Go on, email in.
Thank you very much. I'm flirting with both.
The People's Channel.
On election night, we are throwing a party.
The GB News Election Night Watch Party will be live from Essex, and you are all invited.
On air from 10 o'clock, we'll have familiar faces from across the channel, entertainment and lots more stuff as we keep our eye on all the results as they come flying in.
If you want to join our live Election Night Watch Party audience, scan the QR code on screen or go to gbnews.com/election party.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
It's true. You're not wrong. No one will be cancelled. Lovely.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and this is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday Night Showdown. Clown World is coming up, but first I promised I would show you what happened when this man tried to make an inspiring DIY progress video. Let's take a look.
Here we go today. I set about starting on the transformation of our pathway and steps to our front entrance. It's been a lot of time and effort, but I think you'll be surprised by the results. Yeah, I still haven't done it. My wife's not very happy.
So for anybody listening on radio, that was because you see these things on social media all the time. Somebody says and they transform their whatever it is, and they probably get builders in and pretend they did it themselves. Yes. But it was nice to see somebody just honestly saying,
yeah, but it's obviously stop being so naive. Obviously, what's done is that's in reverse. He's done that when he put the end at the beginning.
Oh, it's a cheap fake.
Cheap fake.
Of course it is.
But it looked really good at the beginning. I quite like that little
the beginning was
effect.
the end result.
Well, you reckon that was
and then he went back, did that like he's pretending, and then that's.
We sort of chiseling it off.
Yeah.
But
No,
anyway,
you didn't.
Talking of things that looked good at the beginning, Botox and fillers are very popular these days, but some people have pointed out that they tend to make women all look the same, and all look the same age as well. Let's have a look at women in a beauty clinic to see if that's true.
Nikki, how old are you and how many units of Botox do you have?
Do I really have to answer how old I am? 41. 32 units.
Emma, how old are you?
22.
How many units of Botox do you have?
32.
Jody, how old are you?
55.
And how many units of Botox do you have?
64.
Lauren, how old are you?
24.
And how many units of Botox do you have?
I have 104. I have 40 in my masseters and 64 in my face.
Now, what really stood out to me was how the young women looked the same age as the older women. They all look great, by the way.
And they all look surprised, but they couldn't raise their eyebrows. So, I love it. No, but isn't that bizarre?
Yeah.
You sort of, as I understand, you have to keep going. Once you've had Botox, it's like that's a lifelong commitment.
Well, Darius, you've had Botox, haven't you?
Have you?
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
yes, I have.
You were discussing it earlier. Look at you.
No, I haven't had it recently. I had it before. Yeah, it runs out, so you just got to keep on going and going.
So frown a bit.
No, I haven't had it.
Frown a bit for us.
Yeah.
Is
It's a
that
fully
it?
mobile face
Look at
now.
that, it's got a mobile face.
Yeah.
I think that's right. But I think it's a commitment, isn't it? But I thought there were a couple of the same. They look the same. It's like the Trout pout, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Just be yourself.
Just be yourself.
No, don't do that. That's bad advice.
Unless that's ugly. Then do the Botox. Anyway,
Terrible
to end,
advice.
here's a sentence I never thought I would say.
Oh, go on, then.
Is bestiality being normalised? A recording of a training session for therapists released by James Esses apparently tells them don't yuck someone's yum when it comes to bestiality and animal play. Those arguing animals can't consent to sex are told, well, animals don't consent to anything, so that isn't argument enough. Let's take a look at this crazy video training session.
Research has shown there are areas in the field of sexuality work that we do that people are triggered by. Okay, and when we look at BDSM kink, one of those areas which I've highlighted here that people are often troubled by is animal play or bestialities.
So if you want more horrifying detail, the trainer then brings up a man who had a sexual interest in chickens.
How foul!
Dead or alive. Yeah. And he's going to do it whether you like it or not. The sole concern was that he became a chef and was advised, don't do anything with chickens at work.
Yes, good advice.
Workplace relationships never work out. Therapists are then told that the most popular dog fetish is for golden retrievers.
Is that right?
Which is, I can actually, bounce her out of neighbours. I can see
they're into rough sex, aren't they? Rough sex. See what I did there? You can have a stable relationship with a horse, couldn't you? You could do that. A lot of bull with cows. The reality, it's bizarre and it's illegal. You can turn around and that sort of stuff. The pictures that you showed, Beauty and the Beast, that's not what was meant, work on that sort of basis. It's not good.
But you know what the most sinister thing about that was the quote, animals can't consent to anything.
Yes.
And then, well, let's extrapolate. Who else can't consent to anything? Our children, this is just, how is this even allowed to be put out? Whoever put it out is just degenerate. It's like, this is what everything that people call right-wing conspiracy theorists, they could just point to this video. And the fact that it's out there, this training is happening, is what turns everyone... This is why people don't want that stuff in the White House, because they see that linking to this.
What are you talking about? Stuff in the White House? I see, okay.
It's like a slippery slope. So if you allow certain things, then all of a sudden therapists are getting taught that, actually we shouldn't judge people when they want to have sex with Labradors.
No, but I don't get what they sort of turn around and say. When does that crop... I have to say, I've never had a conversation where that's cropped up. Have you?
What conversation?
Well, exactly. You turn around and say, I quite fancy your dog. Nobody says that, do they?
They do online.
Never heard it myself.
They do online. Furries and stuff. Yeah, they do.
Anyway, thanks to my brilliant panel tonight. Comedian Darius Davies, check him out online. And the broadcaster, future and futurist Andrew Eborn. And we'll see you again next week, I hope. And don't forget Headliners as well. Tonight at 11 p.m. They've got a cracking lineup for that. So have a great weekend. See you soon. Goodbye.
Looks like things are heating up. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. The weather stays rather mixed across the UK over the next few days, a mixture of sunshine and showers, and staying quite chilly for the time of year too. The cool conditions are all down to a northerly airstream, low pressure anchored towards the northeast of the UK, high pressure out towards the west, and that's generating that northerly flow across all parts. So looking at things in more detail for this evening and through the overnight period, we'll see showers towards the north and northwest of the UK, quite blustery winds, so many of those showers rattling through quite quickly. The rain giving way to more persistent outbreaks as we head into the early hours of Sunday, particularly across Northern Ireland and the southwest of Scotland, whereas across England and Wales the cloud tends to melt away, so it will turn quite chilly here by Sunday morning. In fact, in rural spots, we could see temperatures into low single figures, giving a touch of grass frost in one or two places, pretty unusual for this time of the year. Looking at things in more detail for early on Sunday, and towards the northeast of Scotland we'll see a mixture of sunshine and showers, quite a brisk northwesterly winds. Then we run into an area of more persistent rain across Northern Ireland, southwest Scotland, parts of northwest England, whereas elsewhere across England and Wales it's set fair, quite a chilly start, but there'll be plenty of sunshine around, and we'll hold on to some sunshine here, certainly through the morning on Sunday before cloud starts to increase from the north. Whereas across Northern Ireland we hold on to outbreaks of rain on and off through the day, and that rain slipping its way southeastwards across southwest Scotland into northern England and eventually parts of North Wales too. Further north it's a case of sunshine and showers towards the far northeast of the UK, and staying chilly here with quite a brisk northerly breeze. Temperatures generally no better than 12 to 14 Celsius, up to 20 though in London, that's 68 in Fahrenheit. As for Monday, we'll see an unsettled picture across England and Wales, certainly through the morning. Outbreaks of rain gradually clearing away to the south and east, giving way to a mixture of sunshine and showers across all parts for the remainder of the day. And with that northerly breeze still in place, it's staying quite chilly for the time of year too. We hold on to a showery picture into the middle part of the coming week, and temperatures stay quite disappointing for the early part of June as well.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you could win big this summer. First, there's a fabulous £15,000 in tax-free cash to ensure this summer is special. What would you spend that on? Next, you'll also receive the latest iPhone 15 and a set of Apple AirPods. And finally, £500 to spend at your favourite UK attraction. You have to hurry as lines close at 5 p.m. on Friday. For another chance to win the iPhone, treats and £15,000 cash, text prize to 63232. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You can also enter online at gbnews.com/win. Entries cost £2, or post your name and number to GB06 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on Friday. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good afternoon, Britain.
Your lunchtime update on the stories that matter across the UK.
From breaking news and insightful analysis, inspiring stories and lively debates. You're comparing yourself to a former Prime Minister.
Which is it? Stay informed, stay updated, stay entertained.
I just don't know how anyone would not want to be there.
Every weekday from midday.
We are Good Afternoon Britain, only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, and we are Britain's election channel.
This vote may seem to be about the politicians and the media, but it's actually about you. We won't forget that.
Join us up and down the country as we follow every moment together.
More than ever, it's important to hear all sides
as you make your decision in the run-up to polling day.
This is GB News,
the People's Channel. Britain's election channel.
GB News is Britain's election channel.
And when the big stories break, we're tackling them on Britain's newsroom. When we disagree, and we disagree a lot, it's even livelier than normal.
We don't disagree that much.
We do. His comedy, though, is revolting. I knew her, and unlike you. That explains Beverly Turner's temperament.
It's a bit frosty in here, isn't it?
He'll have one of me one day.
Yeah, for dartball practice. Britain's newsroom on GB News. Weekdays, 9:30 a.m.
GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Patrick Christie's. Every weeknight from 9, I bring you 2 hours of unmissable, explosive debate and headline-grabbing interviews. What impact has that had?
We got death threats and the bomb threats on.
As time passes,
She could have saved Storm.
You made my argument for me.
My guests and I tackle the issues that really matter with a sharp take on every story.
Went everywhere.
some